Well, I'm back at the Dobbs Ferry forest. And it's fall, autumn, lots of leaves on the ground. Nice, clear, cool day. Dry. Makes it a little more pleasant. Actually, a lot more pleasant. And there's the brook, and here's the gully, or as I call it, the Dobbs Ferry Canyon. And here are the trees. And I've been walking around here for a few minutes, and I thought I would turn on the video and kind of share some thoughts while I'm here. I like this place. I like the fact that it's located not too far from New York City, but far enough where if you use your imagination, you can forget that the city is only about a 35-minute train ride away. And I think this is a very good place. In fact, when the weather is okay, like it is today, an excellent place, to think about things, perhaps even meditate, or just kind of relax. Of course, you got to watch where you walk because there's all kind of debris in the ground, and it's the debris is covered by leaves, obviously. Today's a holiday, so it's a little more quiet than it usually is on a Monday, in the middle of a workday, in Dobbs Ferry. There's an airplane flying above. Maybe you could hear the noise. This is a very interesting forest. It's located right in the middle of the village. And it's a forest. Oh, that's a very nice leaf. It really is. This is an out-and-out forest. It's not a huge forest, but it's a forest. It's not a garden. It hasn't been cultivated, as far as I could see. No evidence of that. No gardeners here. No one, to do any landscaping. None of that stuff. I mean, you have some wood that's been piled up. The trees that probably died and fell, and they, whoever they may be, took the wood and piled them up. Other than that, this is really a forest. Now during the summer, it becomes very warm here. And during the winter, it becomes cold. Gee, that makes sense, right? I know people may say, well, there's global warming, and so things aren't as cold as they used to be, the weather that is. But it's cold. It gets frigid up here. There's that gully. I mean, this gully has to be at least 100 feet deep. And I really think it qualifies to be called a canyon. I really do. Believe that. Maybe my definition of a canyon, or what constitutes a canyon, is different from others, but to me a canyon is a very large gap, a very deep gap, on the surface of the earth. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Grand Canyon to be a canyon, but still a canyon. And why can't Dobbs Ferry have a canyon? If Arizona has a canyon, the Grand Canyon, and there's Bryce Canyon, and there's all kind of other canyons, why not Dobbs Ferry? having a canyon, and to advertise itself as such, as the village that has a canyon. What's wrong with that? I don't think that's misleading. In fact, I know it's not misleading. How do I know? Because I'm looking at the canyon right now as I'm talking. I don't want to get too close to the edge. But as you could hopefully see, this is really immense, this canyon, or ravine, or gully, or whatever you want to call it. There's all kind of debris here, and there's roots, and tree roots, and rocks, and this and that, and also some human debris, because humans like myself come here from time to time. It's pretty obvious. And I see some squirrels in the distance. And this is what makes this place so attractive. It's relative isolation in the middle of an urban or suburban environment. Debris, branches. Oop. Yeah, see? There's another broken branch. Tree trunk. Trees here die. Oh, look at that bottle. Somebody was drinking alcohol here. Well, I mentioned that last time. Oh, look at that beautiful leaf. Somebody was drinking alcohol. This is, I mean, if you're an alcoholic, or if you feel the need to drink alcohol, this is actually a very good place to drink alcohol. But just clean up after yourself. I mean, that's the decent thing to do. You want to do your drinking? You want to, some privacy? You want to commune with nature? Okay, fine. But clean up after yourself. There's no reason why somebody drinking beer or any other alcoholic beverage or any kind of beverage or anything, or even water, should not clean up after themselves. To do otherwise is just disgusting, wrong, and ill-mannered. So that's what I think about that. Look at this tree trunk. Boy, oh boy. They got some massive tree trunks here. Massive. I'm going around it. Massive. Look at this. I'll tell you one thing about nature. Nature produces in abundance leaves. And the leaves are very important because without the leaves we don't have oxygen. If we don't have oxygen, of course, we can't survive. So we should really take time to thank all the trees for doing such a great job keeping us alive. Oxygen is a waste product of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Okay, I screwed up on that word. And what to the plant world is a waste product, to us is an indispensable component to life. Isn't that something? That's how nature works. What's bad for you is good for me. What's good for me is bad for you, etc., etc., so on and so forth. Yeah, that's why Who can really figure out the ways of nature? And anybody who tries, I say good luck to them, because there's a rock there. Okay, just step on that. Alright, I'm going to go back now. It's actually rather difficult to keep your footing here, believe it or not. I just stepped on another rock. Okay. Yeah, there it is, right there. Okay. It's not any great accomplishment to step on a rock here, or a brick, or a twig, or a branch, or a can, or a bottle, or anything for that matter. It's enough just to keep your footing. And I don't want to lose my footing, and I'm wearing sneakers that don't have cleats on them, and my ankles are not the strongest ankles in the history of humanity, so it doesn't take much for me to develop some kind of sprain. Look at that, man. So I don't want that. You might ask, well, if you don't want it, then why are you walking through the forest like this anyway? Because I like it. Because it gives me a sense of relaxation that I welcome in this very unrelaxing world. As I'm sure anyone watching and listening to my comments, or watching the video and listening to my comments, I should say, might agree. Or maybe not. So, twigs and branches and debris. To think that there was a time when this whole part of the United States was like this. This is a remnant of what used to exist throughout the northeast United States, and maybe the entire eastern United States. It's my understanding that most of the United States, or what is now considered the United States as that political label, was forest. The whole area west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi River. Yeah. And and so, yeah. So, more broken tree trunks, dead tree trunks. These are near living tree trunks. Housing on the other side of the canyon. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's this? See? Yeah, you gotta be very careful. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there was a time when people came to the United States, Europeans, and the only trails that they had were the trails that the Native Americans left. Because they were there way before the Europeans came. And they lived all over what is now the United States before there was the United States. And the moment the Europeans arrived, their culture was doomed. Their culture was finished. And it's very easy to say, well, that's just the way it is. But that doesn't make it any less painful for those who experienced it, or any less mean for those who perpetrated it. I know people might argue, well, that's part of civilization. I say, well, all right. That's what civilization is about, then. That's not very civilized, is it? Cultures disappear. New cultures emerge. Except I don't know if we have that process going on anymore. It just seems that cultures are just disappearing. And there's one universal culture that's replacing it, which is based on materialism. Well, I just exited the Dobbs Ferry forest, and this is a pathway that's located above what used to be the Croton Reservoir, which is the first, or the Croton Aqueduct, I should say, which is the first major aqueduct built in the United States. It was built in the middle 19th century. Extends from, I believe, the Catskill Mountain areas all the way to the Bronx. And the aqueduct no longer is operating, or at least I believe it's no longer operating. And the powers that be who govern this area decided to cover it up and make it into some kind of park or recreation area. So that's what it is. Okay, with that in mind, I will turn off the video.